California's coastal real estate industry does not want you to see this video because the most expensive shoreline in America is currently losing an argument with geology, and the evidence is no longer subtle. Today I'm counting down 11 California coastal towns that could become unlivable within 5 years, and I'm not using that word loosely. One of these towns is sliding toward the ocean at rates that peaked at 9 to 12 inches per week, fast enough that the governor declared a state of emergency and the utility companies permanently cut power and gas to entire neighborhoods. Another has had its beach closed by sewage for more than 1,000 consecutive days. A third is sinking while the ocean rises, giving it the fastest relative sea level rise on the entire West Coast. And a fourth was told by its own county that staying put could cost $1.2 billion for a town of 600 people. These are real places, full of real people fighting hard for their homes. So this video is a warning, not a eulogy. If knowing what the listing agents won't tell you sounds like your kind of channel, hit subscribe, because I read the geology reports so your escrow doesn't become an anchor. Let's count it down. Number 11, Cambria. Cambria's crisis is the quietest one on this list. Water. This gorgeous pine-forested village on the Central Coast has no connection to state water and depends on 2 small creeks that run low in every drought, which forced a building moratorium that has lasted in various forms for decades and pushed the town to build an emergency brackish water plant it fights over constantly. Cambria isn't falling into the sea. It's a town of 6,000 that can run short of the one thing a town cannot negotiate with. Every drought year, the margin gets thinner, and the droughts keep coming. Number 10, Isla Vista. Isla Vista is the densely packed student community beside UC Santa Barbara, where apartment buildings sit directly on the edge of 60-foot ocean bluffs that are retreating year after year. Balconies have been sawed-off buildings as the cliff edge approached. Units have been red-tagged, and in 2023 and 2024, chunks of bluff collapsed beneath and beside occupied buildings, forcing evacuations in the middle of the school year. 20,000 students live in a town where the back rows of housing are in a slow-motion race with the Pacific, and the Pacific has never lost one. Number 9, Capitola. Capitola is the postcard, the oldest seaside resort town on the Pacific coast, with its rainbow-colored Venetian cottages lining the beach. In January 2023, an atmospheric river storm drove waves through the village, flooded the Esplanade restaurants, and snapped the historic wharf in half, leaving it severed in the surf like a warning. The town rebuilt, because Capitola always rebuilds. But the 2023 storm was not a freak event, it was a preview, and every serious sea level projection puts this low-lying village floor deeper inside the splash zone with each passing decade. The cottages are painted like candy. The ocean has started taking bites. Number 8, Moss Landing. Moss Landing is a working harbor town on Monterey Bay that collected 2 existential threats for the price of one. The town sits low beside sloughs and a power plant site that now hosts one of the largest battery storage facilities on Earth, and in January 2025, that plant caught fire, burning for days, forcing evacuations, closing Highway 1, and depositing heavy metals that researchers later detected in the surrounding marsh soils. Add the flood maps, which paint the town's low ground blue in every major storm scenario, and Moss Landing has become the town where the green energy transition and the rising ocean are having an argument, with 200 residents living inside it. Number 7, Stinson Beach. Stinson Beach is Marin County's beloved sandbar village of about 600 people, and its own county released a report laying out the math nobody wanted. Adapting the town to projected sea level rise could cost on the order of $1.2 billion, roughly $2 million per resident, for seawalls, raised roads, relocated utilities, and managed retreat. The single road in floods, the septic systems sit in rising groundwater, and the beach that is the town's entire reason for existing needs perpetual, expensive help to stay. Stinson will be livable in 5 years. The question the county put in writing is who can possibly afford the 50 after that. If you're still watching, the top 5 is where the ground itself starts moving, so hit that like button, because this is the part of the video the brochures were built to hide. Number 6, Del Mar. Del Mar is one of the wealthiest small towns in America, and its multi-million-dollar bluffs are collapsing onto one of the busiest rail corridors in the country. The tracks between Los Angeles and San Diego run along the crumbling cliff edge here. Bluff failures have repeatedly dropped earth toward the right-of-way, and emergency riprap and stabilization projects have become a permanent construction season. The state has concluded the railroad must eventually be moved inland, a multi-billion-dollar project measured in decades, while the town has fought managed retreat at every step. Del Mar's cliffs hold up mansions, a racetrack's town, and a national transportation artery, and the cliffs themselves have declined to comment. Number 5. San Clemente. San Clemente is where Southern California's rail line keeps losing to the hillside. Repeated landslides, including the dramatic 2023 failure beneath the Casa Romantica Cultural Center, have shoved earth onto the tracks and shut down passenger rail service between San Diego and Orange County again and again, for months at a time, while the beaches below, starved of sand, keep narrowing until waves strike the riprap directly. The city is spending fortunes on sand replenishment and catchment walls, and the hillsides, loaded with homes, keep creeping. San Clemente's slogan is Spanish Village by the Sea. The sea has been renegotiating the buy part. Number 4. Pacifica. Pacifica is the town that already showed everyone the ending. In 2016, after El Niño storms carved its sandstone cliffs, apartment buildings on Esplanade Avenue were red-tagged with their patios hanging over open air and then demolished, images that went around the world, and the erosion has not retired since, taking backyard chunks and forcing seawall fights and buyout battles that continue today. Pacifica sits directly in the Pacific's mouth south of San Francisco, foggy, beautiful, and structurally in retreat, block by block. Every coastal town on this list has a possible future. Pacifica has photographs of it. Number 3. Imperial Beach. Imperial Beach is the most southwestern town in the continental United States, and by some measures it is already partially unlivable, not from waves but from sewage. The collapse of Tijuana's overwhelmed treatment infrastructure has poured tens of billions of gallons of raw sewage and toxic runoff through the Tijuana River into the ocean here, closing Imperial Beach's shoreline for more than 1,000 consecutive days at its worst stretch, sickening Navy SEAL trainees up the coast, and filling the air on bad days with hydrogen sulfide that residents can smell in their homes. Add chronic street flooding from rising seas in a low-lying town, and you have working families paying Southern California prices to live beside a beach their kids have never legally entered. Fixes are funded and under construction across the border, and the town is fighting relentlessly. But no entry on this list has already lost more of everyday livability than IB, and it never even needed a disaster, just a neighbor's broken pipes and everyone else's indifference. Number 2. King Salmon. King Salmon is a tiny community of a few hundred people on a low sandy spit in Humboldt Bay, and it holds the most ominous statistic in coastal California. Because the land here is tectonically sinking while the ocean rises, Humboldt Bay is experiencing the fastest relative sea level rise on the entire west coast, roughly double the global average, and King Salmon sits at essentially sea level, flooding already during king tides, with studies flagging it among the most exposed communities in the state. There's no cliff drama here, no viral collapse footage, just water arriving a little higher every year in a working-class neighborhood of modest homes next to a decommissioned power plant, at the exact spot where the geology decided to lose on both ends. The most endangered coastal town in California is one almost nobody has heard of. That's not an accident. Endangered and inexpensive rarely make the news. Number 1. Rancho Palos Verdes. Rancho Palos Verdes is the entry that stopped being a projection and became a live broadcast. The Greater Portuguese Landslide Complex, an ancient slide reactivated and accelerated by the record storms of 2023 and 2024, sped up to an average of 9 to 12 inches per week, per the governor's state of emergency declaration, moving multi-million-dollar neighborhoods toward the Pacific in real time. A power line failure sparked a fire, and Southern California Edison cut electricity to hundreds of homes, some indefinitely. SoCal Gas shut off natural gas to entire streets and stated plainly that it does not know when service can ever be restored. Homes have been red-tagged, Roads ripple and crack faster than crews can repave them, and residents live under evacuation warnings with generators humming where the grid used to be. The city has fought back hard, drilling deep dewatering wells that have pulled over 500 million gallons of groundwater out of the slide, slowing average movement down to roughly an inch per week, a genuine engineering achievement that may yet save the peninsula. But be clear about what normal now means here. Portions of a city of 42,000 with some of the most valuable residential views in America currently function without gas lines, without grid power, on land that moves every single week, held in place by pumps. Unlivable within 5 years is not a prediction in Rancho Palos Verdes. For some streets, it is a past tense sentence with a zip code. That's the list. 11 California coastal towns where the deed is permanent and the ground is not, and every one of them is full of people fighting for the most human thing there is, staying home. If this video changed how you read an ocean view listing, subscribe, because next week I'm covering the coastal towns doing adaptation right, and their playbook is genuinely hopeful. Drop a comment with the town I missed, and I'll see you in the next one.